Story 1. My M31 wife, F31 of 6 years, has cheated on me with 2 people over the last 4 years. What are my next steps? As of yesterday, 09/14/24, I M31 found out my wife F31 of 6 years, 9 years together, has been cheating on me for the last 4 years. I started the day studying on her iPad when I figured I'd snoop and look through some photos I know shitty of me to do. Upon doing so, I saw some questionable photos of her with a male colleague back in 2022 named Liam. For context, we met working at a summer camp in 2015. Returned to said summer camp on 2017 together, and she wanted to go back in 2022. However, I now had a career as a firefighter. We had celebrated our 4th anniversary by me driving her up the East Coast from Florida to New Hampshire, where we stopped and visited, hiked places along the way before she started another summer there. After seeing these photos, I had a sense of unease and went searching further, where I found messages from back then to her best friend stating he has such a nice ass, followed by "can't tell here, but my hands could tell." Also, messages from her to him saying "sup handsome," followed by "I wanna lay all over you." My heart sank. I spoke to my best mate about what I should, completely ignored his advice. I drove to her work and calmly asked to speak outside in private. I sat her down and told her I had seen something I was not supposed. I knew she had cheated on me, and this was her one chance to tell me. At this time, she immediately broke down crying and asked what I knew. I reiterated for her to tell me anything I should know. This is when she stated she had kissed Mike, her previous boss she had worked for as a nanny for 5 years. Mike is married to Brooke with 2 kids. I was obviously shocked as I had no idea about this. However, reiterated, "Was this everything?" She again said yes, and I told her she was lying. She then stated she had kissed Liam as well. At this point, she was hysterical, and I was rather emotionless. She pleaded for me not to leave her, and was extremely apologetic and made comments of self-harm. After calming her, I stated she had 30 seconds to tell me if there was anything else. If she did not say, now I promised her I would leave for good. Her face sank, and she stated she couldn't tell me as it would break my heart. I let her know she already had. She then admitted to having sex with Liam. For additional context, following the summer camp where she had met him, they traveled down from NH back to FL together, and he stayed with us for a couple of weeks. I felt uneasy with him at the time, but she had assured me nothing was going on. I wanted all the full details and thanked her for her honesty at last. She stated they had only slept together once at camp, and she had used protection as if that's any consolation. She denies that she ever slept with Mike. However, they had kissed numerous times over the last 4 years and been caught by his wife last November. She blamed this on previous alcohol consumption and stated it was why she stopped drinking 3 years ago. She made comments of feeling forced in the more recent occasions. Again, she reiterated comments of self-harm, and I called her father to explain the situation. Being FF paramedic, I stated believed it would be best to Baker Act her. However, he vehemently stated not to. I was pretty emotionless and just stated I didn't want anything on my conscience. She pleaded with me not to call my parents as she felt ashamed. We sat there for several more minutes, however I was pretty distant. I informed her I was going home to hang out with our cats, and I let her work know she would likely not be returning that day due to some bad news. However, to go check on her in the car park if she did not notify them shortly. Upon driving home, I contacted Brooke, Mike's wife, who pretty much corroborated the same story she had told me, that he told her they had only ever kissed. She said my wife had made comments to Mike about threesomes and the such. Brooke had decided to move past it and told me she didn't know if I had known in the first place or if she should contact me. She also explained it was why we had not seen them as much recently following her leaving that job. She apologized greatly and was comforting to my situation. I thanked her and stated I wish she had told me. Once I got home, I called my parents briefly to let them know I was not okay. She arrived home shortly after. She was in tears and immediately began packing bags. She stated she didn't want me to destroy her belongings, which I stated I would never do. I asked why she got this idea of me being vindictive. She stated she thought I would, as I had already taken down a photo frame. I told her I could not look at the photos of our anniversary trip where she fecked someone less than a month later. She began getting the cat carrier, and I questioned what she was doing. She stated she wanted to take one of the cats to her parents' house. I requested she not do so and stated I would never keep the cats from her, however prefer that they stay with me in their home. She begrudgingly agreed. She asked if I wanted her to stay or go. I told her I would never kick her out of the house, however would prefer to have space. I told her she had made me feel like a clown as I housed the guy she had slept with. For additional context, I had moved from England to Florida to be with her, bought our house in its entirety, however put it in both our names and pay the majority of the bills. I stated that I feel I have wasted the last 9 years of my life. I asked if she was in my shoes, what would she do, to which she stated she would leave me. She asked for her iPad, which I requested her not to take, truthfully, as I didn't know if there would be any evidence I may require on there. I offered her my laptop instead, which she was not best pleased about, but agreed. She stated she wanted to crash her car and die, so said I would drive her to her parents' house. She argued she needed transport, so I said I would drive her in her own car and get a friend to pick me up. If you think I'm being too over-accommodating here, I told her what she had done was so incredibly selfish that it would not be fair to me if she was to do something stupid. I still love her after all. I drove her to her parents. Her mother was flying back from their home in Ohio to be with her. However, she had not responded when I offered to pick her up from the airport. They had arranged a family friend to stay with her who arrived 30 minutes after we got there. In the entire trip and time there, she did not say much to me and spent most of the time on her phone outside, but in view. I was picked up by a friend, and when I got back home, another friend was waiting for me with dinner. They reiterated how sorry they were, I'm going through this, and were complimentary of me. I can't say it helps much, Adam. They stayed with me for the rest of the night. Unfortunately, I have not been able to sleep with my thoughts racing. I love my wife, but we both have said if either of us cheated, it would be a hard no. I could maybe understand if it had been a one-time kiss with her boss and she had told me immediately. However, numerous people over years and sleeping with one of them is not something I believe I can or ever will be able to work past. It may be dumb, but I consider myself a penguin. I am very selective when it comes to my partners, and we had even been trying to have kids for the past 2 years, thankfully unsuccessfully now. I do not know what my next steps are. I think she knows the writing on the wall, and I will take some time to make decisions and think with a clear head. However, I am obviously leaning towards divorce. Everything we have was paid for by me. She has very little friends in the area and not a great job. I am scared she will try and take whatever she can from me, and believe her parents may encourage her to do so. Neither one of them has reached out to me to see if I'm okay with hurts me deeply as well. Do I need to contact a divorce lawyer immediately? Do I need to preserve any evidence? The only concrete thing is text messages of her kissing Mike, nothing concrete of Liam except what I stated above and what she told me. How do I find a reliable lawyer? Has anyone had reconciliation after something like this and truly been happy? Do I just leave our financial assets untouched at the moment? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I'm sorry, I may take a while to get back to people, as I'm not in a great state of mind. Story 2. Do I come clean now or after the wedding? 35F, 35M. We have been together almost 15 months. My relationship started with a pretty big lie, and I'm not sure how to deal with it. I dealt with years of infertility. I never thought I would become a mother. I am in my 30s. My sister is also in her 30s and gay. She was sexually assaulted and became pregnant. When she discovered she was pregnant, she was already in her second trimester, and she did not want to terminate the pregnancy. We were abused as children, and there's a lot of abuse in our family. My sister did not want to explain what had happened. Our family is spread out and not in the same area. Long story short, we told everyone the child was mine. Fast forward, I met someone, and it's the best relationship I've ever been in. I assumed I would never find love. I'm not conventionally attractive, I'm not smart, I'm not wealthy. I've met a genuinely great guy who comes from a really nice family. I'm pretty sure he is going to propose. He thinks I gave birth to my child. I told him that I can't conceive naturally and that I had to use donor sperm. I feel badly for keeping this from him. My own mother thinks that I gave birth to this child. I'm not sure how to handle this. Do I tell him now, or do I wait until we're married? Edit, thanks everyone for your feedback and advice. I'm going to tell him soon. I just need to figure out when and how. I'm going to take someone's suggestion and write everything in a letter and take that with me to collect my thoughts. I'll be back when there is something to share. Responding to everyone and talking about my sister's trauma has brought on some anxiety. It took a lot for me to post because I am afraid of saying too much and doxing myself. To clear up a few things. I had a partner in my late 20s. We tried to have a child. I am not sure where the idea came from, that I just went through fertility treatments without trying. I was put on Clomid, and I had a procedure done where they put dye through your tubes to check for blockage because of an illness I had when I was young. I was then told my best bet was IVF, the birth certificate. My sister was put on the very first one, but that basically doesn't exist because it's sealed. I was issued one a few months after the baby's birth. My name is the only one on the child's official BC. The baby was born early and spent a few weeks in the NICU because she had the baby unexpectedly because of high BP and fluid in the lungs. We didn't have all of our paperwork finished. My sister was living with me, so the baby was able to come home with us. The hospital said if she hadn't have been living with me, they wouldn't have released him to me. I got a lawyer, and the court gave us a guardian ad litem spee. A home study was done, and the guardian ad litem drilled us. We were honest about why the original BC didn't have the father's name written down. The court ran an ad in the newspaper for several weeks. When no father stepped up to contest the adoption, it was allowed to proceed. I think I've answered everyone else's questions. Story 3. I-35F went on a date with my 35M best friend. Is how I am feeling a normal response? I-35F went out on a date a week ago with a friend, 35 Mitas, who I've been friends with for 3 years. We have a lot in common. We are both single parents, we play video games together, we love anime, etc. He makes me laugh, I can be myself around him. I genuinely like him. He's a good guy, very sweet. We flirt all the time. My question is, we went out on a date, he paid for dinner. Unfortunately, poor guy hurt his ankle and limping around lol. We call the night early. There was not kiss, just a hug, and let's do it again sometime. Maybe because we have been friends and already know each other. But I didn't get those butterflies, the excited to go out on a date. You know, the first date jitters we all get. It just felt like normal. Us two just hanging out for dinner. Are these feelings normal? Am I supposed to feel something more? I'm worried my 10-year marriage I was in really put a damper on any potential relationship I might have. This guy is so much better than my ex-husband. I really like how he makes me feel. I can be myself around him. I do not feel like I need to put on a front like most first dates are. I've been single for 3 years.